Hey, what is going on, guys? This is DK back at you with another video here to break down the 12-game NBA main slate here on Friday. A couple things before I get in the video. If you're new to the channel, my name's DK. I make videos daily talking NBA DFS as well as NFL DFS here on Draftkings. Also, I'm running a weekly giveaway on this channel where all you have to do is leave a like and a comment in the video to be entered in the giveaway. That's one entry. Max one comment though per video. It starts with my Monday Night Showdown video that I uploaded at the beginning of the week. We'll go throughout the week. We'll end my Monday Night Showdown video at the end of the week. So however many videos I've uploaded for the week, you're end the giveaway that many times. Say if I have 10 videos uploaded for the week, you're end the giveaway 10 times. And the winner will receive $20 PayPal for myself. But with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So first, let's look back to see what my lineup was or did for Wednesday's main slate. So Wednesday was the biggest NBA slate in a long time that I can remember, 14 games. So this is my final lineup here with Kemba, Kendrick Nunn, Draymond, Montrez, Biyombo, Dragic, Anthony Davis, and Rubio. So obviously, the disappointments here were the two Miami guards with Nunn and with Dragic. Really thought, they would do better with no Jimmy Butler in there in a really good spot. It ended up being Tyler Hero, or I guess Hero off the bench. I like calling him Hero. He was the one that went off while Nunn and Dragic were a bit disappointing. But again, I think the process was right there with no Jimmy Butler in an up-tempo game to target some of those Miami guards. It just didn't necessarily work out. In this situation. Kemba, again, he just seemed way too cheap there at, I believe, 6.7K. I think he was one of the most mispriced players on the slate. Draymond, I got onto him once. I knew he was playing. Montrez, again, I talked about those Clippers guys being really good plays. Him, Lou Williams, Paul George. Montrez and Lou are really good. Paul George is okay, but and then Bismack Biyombo with Cody Zeller getting rolled out. I said he was one of my favorite value plays just because Detroit ran big. I thought like at least he's going to get 25 minutes or so. He was really, really solid there, 35 fantasy points. Again, Dragic a bit disappointing. Anthony Davis is one of my favorite spend-ups in a revenge game spot, in a really good spot, 61 fantasy points. Rubio, so he wasn't bad, but they just limited his minutes, and we didn't get any confirmation of that before lock, so it was a little bit frustrating, right? He only played like 20 or so. He played very limited minutes, so that was a little bit frustrating. Could have been a big day for him, but all in all, it was, in tournaments at least, I just missed out on the cash. Again, if these Miami guys just did a little bit better, could have been a good night, but that's how it goes sometimes. So let's move on to this 12-game NBA main slate here on Friday. Again, we got a lot to talk about, 12 games. Let's see, we'll center this. Okay. Whoop, that is not the main slate. Sorry about that. Let's see. 12 games. All right, here we go. All right, so let's look at the over-unders and the spreads that are out right now. This Boston Nets game is going to be a showdown slate that's not on the main slate. So starting with Charlotte and Detroit, sitting at 213 over/under with Detroit favored by 8. Raptors Magic's got 206.5 with the Raptors favored by 3.5 points. Bucks Cavs 228.5 with the Bucks favored by 10 points. Hawks Pacers is at 225.5 with the Pacers favored by 10.5 points. Pelicans Thunder is at 228.5 with the Thunder favored by 4. Jazz Grizzlies at 219.5 with the Jazz favored by 7.5 points. Clippers Spurs, I should say, is at 226.5 with the Clippers favored by 6. Mavs Suns is at 233.5 with Dallas favored by 1.5 points. And then Bulls, Portland is at 225 with the Trailblazers favored by 7.5. And the late night hammer here, Washington at LA, sitting at 234 with the Lakers favored by 11 points. So as always, let's start with center on the slate. And at the top is Anthony Davis at 10K. The price is still not moving on him. He's had 3 games over 50 fantasy points the last 4. It's a really, really good spot here against Washington. And in close games, he's going to play 35 or so minutes. Again, I always bring it up with Anthony Davis, but the one concern with him is that he always goes to the locker room. He's made of glass, right? And he actually went to the locker room in that game against the Pelicans, but came back with that elbow injury. So that is something we'll have to monitor. But I think if he stays healthy and the game stays close, he could crush that salary, in my opinion. Drummond at 9.2K, I think is playable. It's a good spot here against Charlotte, right? And they just played the Hornets. He in 38 minutes put up 52 fantasy points. Do I want to play him though on this 12-game slate? I don't know. I think there's probably better plays elsewhere, but I don't hate him as a contrarian option there. Joel Embiid, He's just too cheap at 9K. Again, I think he's like a 10K player, and the Draftkings is not moving his price. It actually went down a bit after he just put up 59 fantasy points in the game against the Kings. And this is a good spot here against New York. So I wouldn't mind going right back to the well here with Embiid. We also have no Al Horford. So, maybe Embiid gets a little bit more run. So I do like this price a good amount on Joel Embiid. I like the upside. I think he can definitely crush that salary. So definitely considering him there at the high end of the center range. Siakam, this Toronto-Orlando game is not super appealing. Now, the guys I would consider in Toronto would be Siakam and it would be Fred VanVleet, just because we know in close games they're going to play big minutes. Now, in the game against New York, it was a blowout, so we only played 30 minutes. Still got 47 fantasy points in that time, though. So, yeah, I think they're okay, but probably not my preferred place. Rudy Gobert at 8.2K is, I think he's fairly priced. I don't think he's like the best play. Don't think he's the worst. Don't think he's the worst play. Sorry, I can't talk. But I think there's a little bit of upside there. Bam Adebayo in this matchup against Golden State. We want to target bigs against Golden State. I talked about how I really liked him there against Houston. I didn't end up getting to him. My original lineup had him in, but switched some things around once the Bismack Biyombo news came out, or Cody Zeller getting rolled out. But yeah, Bam, I still think has a little bit of upside at this price. And again, it's a really good spot here against Golden State. So definitely considering Bam there. Whiteside at 8K. It's just the minutes with him, right? The game against OKC did blow out. He only played 22 minutes. Still got 43 fantasy points in that time. So it's a good spot against Chicago, but now the price is up, right? Like I liked him in that 6K range. Now it's 8K. So do I want to pay 8K for Son Whiteside? Probably not. Sabonis, I still think he's a little bit underpriced here on DraftKings. I think he's more of an 8.5K to 9K player. And this is a really, really good spot here against Atlanta. The concern is, can Atlanta keep it close? But yeah, if they can, I think Sabonis probably plays 35 minutes in a close game, and he can definitely crush their salary. So I do like him a decent amount there at 7.9K. Porzingis at 7.6K. This game in general looks pretty appealing. Phoenix originally started as a pretty solid defensive team, but have let up a lot of points recently. So I think this is a game you're going to want some pieces to. Porzingis is $200 price here at 7.6K, in my opinion. I think he's more of an 8 to 8.5K player. So yeah, in an up-tempo game, I think he probably plays 35 minutes in a close game, so I do like Porzingis a decent amount there as well. Kevin Love at 7.1, I think he's a little too cheap. He's been really, really bad the last couple games, right? 25 and 24 minutes, 16 and 16 fantasy points, so really, really bad. But you are getting him at a very, very cheap price, the lowest we've seen on him in a while. So I wouldn't hate buying low, though, there. I don't think you're going to feel great about it, but if Cleveland's going to keep this game close, Kevin Love's probably going to have a big game. Aldridge at 7.1, I think is just fair. Let's see what else. Randall, don't think I want to go there against Philly. Montrez with Kawhi back. I think he's a solid play. Again, I really look to him and like Lou Williams when one of those guys misses. I still think he is. I think there's a little bit of upset still at this price because San Antonio is playing at a really fast pace, one of the worst defensive teams right now in the league. So I think he's viable there at 6.4K. Miles Turner at 6.3. Don't hate him. He's probably going to play 30 minutes in a close game. I think I would just rather pay a little bit more, though, for Sabonis, who, in my opinion, has a lot more upside. Thomas Bryant at 6.2K. The concern with him is just they have other guys they can use, right? They have Mo Wagner they can use. So the minutes aren't necessarily secure. So you're not going to feel great about it. But the Lakers do run big. So my best guess is they're probably going to need him to play the big minutes, like into the 30s, but you never know. Jonas Valanciunas had a huge game in the game against the Clippers. 34 minutes, 60 fantasy points. I wouldn't go chasing and expect this again, but he is a guy that, can get you there. And the 34 minutes I do really like to see. So if he's going to continue to play like minutes into the 30s, then I think he's a solid play, even in a bad matchup. Now, again, I would not expect 60 fantasy points again, but if he's going to play those type of minutes on a regular basis, I think he'd be a really, really good play. Now, I don't know if we can expect that to continue. Like, I don't think we can expect 34 minutes every night out of Jonas Valanciunas, but we know the upside is there on him. Baines coming back here at 6K. 6K for him seems priced about right, and with him being back, it kind of takes the value guys out of play now with like Kaminsky, Saric, and Diallo, right? So yeah, the bigs for Phoenix kind of a stay away with Baines now healthy. Let's see, other options. What's the status here on Ibaka? Is he... Well, it says doubtful. Okay, that's what I expected. I didn't think he would be back for this one. Diallo, again, like those guys are kind of out of play now with Aaron Baines back. Ivica Zubac at 4K. Again, a guy that I think is always in play for GPPs. He's never going to play more than like 20 minutes, but he can get you like 25 or so fantasy points in that time. So only GPP viable. I actually don't mind Bobby Portis here in a tough spot. The minutes have been down on him really, like 20, 17, and 19. But 3.9K, he is a guy that can probably get you like 20 to 25 fantasy points. So yeah, don't hate him as a value play. Boucher at 3.9K has been getting a little extra run. Now the game did blow out. In closer games, he's probably only going to get like 10 to 15 minutes, so that's why it makes it a little bit tough. But he is a guy that when he gets the minutes is pretty productive. So, and there's a possibility this game could blow out too. So I think Boucher is definitely viable. Again, in close game, I think he probably gets around 15 minutes. In a blowout, he probably gets into the 20s. So yeah, on a slate right now that doesn't have a whole lot of great value plays, I think Boucher is very much viable there. Dwight Howard even 2 at 3.9K. Another guy that's not going to play huge minutes, like right around 20 or so, but I just think the price is too cheap on him. 3.9K, it's a good spot here against Washington, so yeah, I think he's also a pretty solid value play. Same thing here with Biyombo. Now, we got, where is Cody Zeller? Cody Zeller is probable. So the downside is obviously Biyombo's not going to play the huge minutes again because they have Cody Zeller. But Detroit runs big, and Biyombo just played pretty well there, right, in 34 minutes. So maybe they start Bismack Biyombo. We'll see. Either way, I think these guys, both Cody Zeller and Biyombo, are in play. With Cody Zeller being back in the rotation, it does limit the upside of both guys. But I think these are guys that if they get like 20 to 25 minutes, can definitely get you there. So those guys also very much in play as value guys. But that's really it. So let's move on to power forward. At the top is Giannis. Again, there's no downside to him other than, do you think Cleveland keep this one close? There's obviously some ball risk in this one, and if the game blows out, he's probably not going to get you there. So yeah, don't hate him as a spend up. Don't know if I'm going to go there though on this slate. Let's see, Brandon Ingram at 8.3K. He's just the do-it-all guy. He had a really, really bad game there against the Lakers. In 40 minutes, shot the ball 4 of 21, still put up 42 fantasy points. So right now for his level of production, he's just underpriced. And again, he's their go-to guy right now. I think he should be more of like an 8.5 to 9K player. So I think Ingram is a little too cheap right now. Blake Griffin at 7.5 is okay. He just really hasn't looked like himself. Had a little bit of upside finally, flashed a little bit in the last game, 9 of 21, 38 fantasy points. But yeah, it just seems priced right now. I need to see him have a big game before I can like start targeting him regularly. Let's see, what else? Kelly Oubre at 6.6K just seems okay. The minutes actually were way down on him, only 18 minutes. I think I didn't watch the game. It must have been foul trouble issues, but yeah, he's a guy that is up and down, but it is a decent spot there against Dallas. Now, Tobias Harris here at 6.4, I think is very, very much in play with no Al Horford. Where is? So let me go to Al Horford really quick. Did I pass Al Horford? Oh, here it is. So yeah, Al Horford is out here at 6.7K, going to be resting. So that's obviously a boost to the other guys. But also Josh Richardson is doubtful too. So the guys that are playing of the big five here with Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Tobias Harris get a pretty big boost in a game and a pretty good matchup against New York. So I'm definitely considering some of these Philly guys here. Again, Tobias at 6.4 is, in my opinion, a little bit too cheap. So I do like him a decent amount there. Other options, let's see. Nance with Love back, I just can't do it. Against Saric with Baines back, probably not for me. Pascal Trayman back, kind of the same thing. I'll pass. Let's see. OG here, 4.9K, I actually think is viable, right? 35 and 33 minutes in back-to-back games. He's not a guy that has like huge upside, but at 4.9K, I think he's a little bit underpriced. Don't hate Kuzma there in a good spot at 4.5K. Let's see. I think that's basically it. Yeah, so let's move on to small forward. Let's see, Doncic at the top here at 11.8K. Again, Phoenix was pretty solid early in the year defensively, but last few games have been letting up a lot of points. Yeah, I think this is a spot we want some pieces in. And Luka just had a bad game, but we know, we know the upside's huge on him. He can get you 60 to 70 fantasy points any single night, and it's a pretty decent spot here. And the over/under right now is sitting at 233.5. With only a 1.5 point spread. So this game should stay close. There should be a lot of points scored in this one. So I'm definitely considering Luka as a spend up there. If you're going to make me choose between Luka and Giannis, I'm going to lean towards Luka just because there's more blowout risk with Giannis. LeBron here at 11.2K. Again, no real downside with him. The only concern is, do you think Washington can keep us close? There's obviously a blowout risk in this one as well. And yeah, if you're going to make me choose to pick between LeBron and Anthony Davis, I'm just going to lean towards Anthony Davis for the $1,200 discount. But yeah, I don't hate the idea of going LeBron, just probably not going to be the way that I go on this slate. Kawhi and Paul George is a good spot, but again, there's a lot of mouths to feed in this Clippers offense with everyone healthy. So they don't stand out as great plays, they just stand out as okay plays on this slate. Jimmy Butler is questionable for this game against Golden State. If he misses, we can look to those secondary pieces once again. If he plays, I'd have a lot of interest in him. But again, there would be some blowout risk. Golden State, one of the worst teams in the league. Ben Simmons, again, him, Embiid, Tobias Harris, I do have a good amount of interest in with Josh Richardson being doubtful and Al Horford resting. I think these guys, one or even two of these guys could have a pretty big game here. So definitely considering those three for Philly. Other options, Marcus Morris is always viable for GPPs. Draymond Green, they kind of limited him. Only played 24 minutes in that game against Chicago. So that is concerning, right? Like the 3 games before that, played 35, 32, and 34 minutes. I don't know if this is because it's his first game back or what, but this will be something we'll have to look into more in tomorrow. Hopefully we get some more news about it. But if he's going to continue to be limited to like 25 minutes, I wouldn't have interest. But if he's going to play his normal like minutes into the 30s, I would still like him there a decent amount there at 6.2K. Again, Josh Richardson is listed as doubtful. I really think Ben Simmons, Embiid, and Tobias Harris stand out as pretty solid plays on this slate. Justice Winslow, wouldn't mind going here, honestly, if Jimmy Butler misses. Played 34 minutes off the bench. Now, he was a little bit rusty, right? His first game back in a while, but still got 24 fantasy points in that time. And again, we got 34 minutes out of him. And this is a really, really good spot here against Golden State. So I would definitely consider Justice Winslow here if Jimmy Butler misses, right? We know the upside is there with him. In those first 3 games of the regular season, 49, 38, and 44 fantasy points. So yeah, I think he's someone very, very much in play if Jimmy Butler does miss. Other options, let's see. Not a whole lot that stands out here. Like KCP, but do you want to play KCP? You're not going to feel great about that. Tim Hardaway Jr. is interesting here, 4.6K. Picked up the start in the last couple games, right? And Rick Carlisle said he's going to remain in the starting lineup. And the game against Houston had 38 minutes, 49 fantasy points. Now the game against the Clippers, kind of an off game, right? 29 minutes, only 17 fantasy points. But the game blew out. He was on pace to play over 30 minutes. And at 4.6K in an up-tempo game here against Phoenix, I actually think Tim Hardaway Jr. is very much in play. Now, he is a little bit scoring dependent, right? That is the downside. But if he's going to play like into the 30s minutes in close games, I think he stands out as a pretty solid value play there. I think that's about it then for small forward. So let's move on to shooting guard. At the top here is Beal at 9.4K. I think he's a perfectly fine contrarian option. It's a tougher spot against the Lakers. I'm a one-lineup guy. I'm probably not going to play him. I get it if you want to go there. But I just think I think there's better spots in the slate. So, yeah, he's a playable for a contrarian spend up, right? He's going to be low owned. But am I going to go there? I don't think so. Brogdon finally got priced up here to 7.9K. This is where he should be priced. He's about an 8K player. So, yeah, don't have an issue if you want to go there, but you're not getting the discount like you were, in previous games. Devin Booker at 7.9K. So they limited Ricky Rubio, and he played 38 minutes, put up 45 fantasy points. So if they're going to continue to limit Ricky Rubio's minutes, then that's an upside for Devin Booker because Ricky Rubio kind of limits Booker's upside. But when Rubio's off the floor, Booker has the ball in his hands a lot. Those assist numbers go up. So At 7.9K, I do like him a decent amount there. Again, if Rubio's going to be or limited, then that's a bigger boost for Booker. Drew Holiday at 7.8K seems a little bit underpriced here. Just had a huge game there against the Lakers, 60 fantasy points, right? So yeah, he's very much viable, even in a slightly tougher spot here against OKC. Donovan Mitchell, don't mind there at 7.8K. He's always the one guy in the Jazz that I do, consider just because he has, that 40, 50 fantasy point upside. It's a good spot. So yeah, don't have an issue if you want to go there. Fred VanVleet, kind of the same analysis here with Siakam. Is if the game stays close, going to play close to 40 minutes. Again, that game against New York blowout only played 30 minutes. So if the game stays close, I think both those guys can probably get you there at their salaries. It is a not necessarily the best spot, but again, the minutes are always there for those guys. Zach LaVine, I do like a decent amount here at 7K. I really liked him there against the Golden State. Kind of kicking myself too because he was in my original lineup as well for Wednesday. Put up 58 fantasy points. We know the upside's here for him, right? And he got 36 minutes in that game against Golden State. We haven't seen that from LaVine in a while. I guess he did get 35 in the game against Charlotte, but normally he gets barely cracks 30 minutes. The thing is, again, when he's out there, we know he's going to be aggressive. We know he's going to shoot the ball a decent amount, and we know the upside's there. And it's a pretty decent spot here against Portland. So I don't mind LaVine. It does. I think he'll be somewhat popular because of the recency bias, right? He just put up 58 fantasy points, so he might be a little bit popular, but I still like the price there at 7K. Lou Williams, don't mind him, but again, there's a lot of mouths to feed there for the Clippers. Devontae Graham, him and Rozier are always my targets on the top end just because their minutes are secure, right? 37, 34, 39, 36 minutes. And that game against Detroit, he put up 50 fantasy points. And at 6.9K right now, he seems a little bit underpriced, so I don't mind Devontae Graham at all there. SGA in a good spot at 6.8K. Again, like him, Chris Paul, Gallinari are all very much viable in a good spot. Schroeder off the bench, more of a GPP player. He's very up and down, but we know he can get you 40 fantasy points if he's having a good night. Alec Burks at 5.6K is also kind of up and down, right? 23, 40, 17, and 48 fantasy points. So very, very up and down. I think he's more suited for GPPs. Tyler Hero there at 5.1. I think we could very much go to him if Jimmy Butler does miss, just because there's a lot of minutes to go around. He played 36 minutes there in that game against Houston. So, yeah, I would definitely consider him. We could look to Dragic as well as none if Jimmy Butler does miss. Other options, let's see. Jordan McRae was a value guy I've been kind of liking, but now he's priced up to 4.5K. I think he's priced about right. Elia Kobo's been getting a little bit run here, 4.2K, but don't know if we can expect that level of production to continue. And that's really it. I mean, Korkmaz is probably going to start, but he's a very, very scoring-dependent guy. We'll see who Philly, inserts into their starting lineup. Whoever starts, I would have slight interest in. So again, we will see what Philly does with their starting lineup. But let's move on to point guard. We were talking about Doncic, LeBron. Trae Young's always viable for GPPs. Again, it's kind of the same analysis with him every time too. If Atlanta's going to keep the game close, he's going to have a big game. And we know he's going to play mid-30s to 40 minutes in a close one. And I think he goes a bit lower owned in a tough spot. So he's contrarian spend up for sure. That's viable for GPPs. Lillard seems a little bit underpriced at 8.7K. It's a decent spot. The game against OKC blew out. That's when they played 30 minutes. In close games, he's going to get mid-30s minutes. So he's someone that's very much viable there at 8.7K. Let's see. We already talked about a lot of these guys. CJ, don't mind him. I think I'd prefer paying a little bit more, though, for Damian Lillard. Now, John Morant in a tough spot. I talked about how he was an interesting tournament play just because he was questionable going into that game against the Clippers. In 34 minutes, put up 53 fantasy points. The concern with him early in the year was the minutes just weren't there. But now he's getting mid-30s minutes in close games. So, yeah, I think he's underpriced, but this is a really tough spot. So, it's a tricky situation, right? He's underpriced. It's a tough spot. So, I just think he's an okay play. Chris Paul seems all right. It's a good spot at 7.2K. Let's see. Rubio, again, they limited him to, 25 minutes? Normally, he was a guy that was getting into the 30s minutes, right? Mid-30s minutes. So this will be something we have to monitor. Hopefully, we get some news on whether or not they're going to limit his minutes for this game. If they're not, I would like him at that price. If they are, again, that's a boost to Devin Booker. Rozier is viable as well. Him and Devontae Graham always in close games will get mid 30s minutes. So don't mind Rozier there at 6.3K. Again, like Nunn, Dragic, those secondary pieces of hero, we can all look to them if Jimmy Butler misses. It's a really good spot there. Other options, Rondo. It's a good matchup, but the minutes were down on him. Only played 19 minutes in the game against Pelicans. So the minutes have been a bit up and down. If he hits that high end, if he hits like the mid 20s minutes, that can get you there. But I don't know if they're secure. So I don't think we can feel confident about targeting him there. Isaiah Thomas, I actually kind of like this price for him. I know he's been not the best, but he's a guy that's probably going to get mid 20s minutes, and he'll shoot the ball a decent amount when he's out there. So at 4.2K, he doesn't have to do a whole lot to get you there. And we know he can get us like 30 to 35 fantasy points if he's having a good night. And if he's playing well, they'll give him minutes into the 30s. So I actually kind of like Isaiah there at 4.2K. Ish Smith you could look to as well, right? Both those guys are kind of splitting the point guard minutes, like low to mid 20s minutes. And Ish just had an upside game there against Phoenix, 42 fantasy points. So both those guys are very much viable as cheap options. I think that's about it, though. So, yeah, like I said, it's 12 games. There's a lot of news. There's a lot of stuff that's still out there. So that's why it's very important to follow me on Twitter, guys. That will be in the description below. I will give my thoughts as we get news throughout the day. Also, I will be live streaming my YouTube channel probably 45 minutes before lock. So be sure to check out the live stream. Again, I will give my thoughts as we get news throughout the day. But thanks again for coming to check out the video, guys, and I will see you later.